Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajatli, and I'm vaccinated, and I strongly recommend you get vaccinated yesterday so you don't die from measles and polio. Oh, which we were able to control and nearly eradicate thanks to scientific breakthroughs. But now we have an unqualified crank who had, I don't know, brainworms and loved his heroin as the director of our Health and Human Services. So I don't know about you, Danielle, but if I wasn't vaccinated, the first thing I would do on this Labor Day weekend was go get the vaccines while you still can. But how about you, Danielle?
Yeah, so I actually said this last year on November 6th, the day after that Donald Trump won the election, that I said that everyone needs to get the latest vaccines. You need to call your doctors. You need to make sure that you are up on your vaccinations.
Yep.
If you are an independent like myself, and you, because I know you're probably on your wife's insurance, but
Yep.
I am on the marketplace insurance in New York. I said when this regime was coming in to go and get all your doctor's visits up to, up to task as much as you can. Because, folks, what is happening right now at the CDC is not a fucking joke. Like, the thing about America for me, Waj, has been that for roughly, 40 something years, right? At least, the time that you and I have been alive, that you've been able to kind of just move through your life the way that your breath kind of moves through your body. You don't really think about it. You don't think about places like the CDC. You don't really think about Health and Human Services. You don't think about the Department of Education, because the beauty of having been in America in a pre-Trump time is that these systems, these agencies, while they may have switched heads, right, had leaders, that they always continue to function for the betterment of the American people. That is no longer the case. And so, case in point, you have this non-doctor, non-medically trained weirdo RFK Jr. Thank you, Mike Singleton. Says he can medically diagnose kids just by looking at him. I wish that he would fucking medically diagnose himself and just stay looking in the mirror, because when I look at him, I'm like, oh, is it crack or is it heroin or is it a combination of the two? But you take a listen and you tell me, Waj, like, how? The only way that this man becomes head of HHS is by a depraved sociopath who does not give a shit about himself, about anyone in his life, about his own kids and his family. Like, you just don't give a shit.
Primarily because I came from a big family. I have 7 kids. I had 11 brothers and sisters. I had about 70 first cousins, and I never saw anybody with diabetes. I never knew anybody with a food allergy. I never knew anybody with autism. When I was a kid, and I know what a healthy child is supposed to look like. I'm looking at kids as I walk through the airports today, as I walk down the street, and I see these kids that are just overburdened with mitochondrial challenges, with inflammation. You can tell from their faces, from their body movements, and from their lack of social connection. And I know that that's not how our children are supposed to look.
I'm not going to play the entirety of the clip because I can't stomach his voice. And I know that that's not how an adult male is supposed to look. So I don't want to torture the rest of you with having to see him. But Waj, please, you're married to an actual real life certified licensed doctor.
I played that clip for my wife, who is a doctor, who went to Mayo, who went to Harvard and UCSF, is at the top of her field, family medicine. And she heard that and she's like, what? You cannot. I'm sorry, Danielle, the mitochondria on your face. You look a little bit off? Did you get the vaccine? Like, he said that. That is the director of Health and Human Services. You cannot. no one has the ability to look at the mitochondria in your face. And he, without any medical degree, he is not a doctor, folks. I want people to understand this. He is not a doctor. Says that RFK Jr., with the power that is vested in him by virtue of his, like, I don't know, eating exotic animals and doing push-ups and doing heroin, he can just tell that American kids are just, God, they're just sick. And when he was growing up, they weren't sick, probably because they weren't diagnosed. Probably because autism, wasn't diagnosed, it was underreported because people had no idea what they're dealing with, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and so forth. But because of science and experts, now we have actual names for what people are going through. And then we also are developing medicine, and we're also developing, advanced techniques, behaviors to help these individuals become more healthy. But not to RFK, because RFK is a eugenicist. And someone in our audience mentioned it. Thank you so much. I want to remind people that RFK said that the coronavirus was targeted to spare the Jews and Black people. Remember that? There's a video of him saying that. And remember him also promoting this myth of eugenics myth of how, like, Black people somehow create antibodies that white people don't. And I think it was the Senator Alsobrooks of Maryland who challenged him during his confirmation hearing. Also, he's an anti-vax nut promoting the most batshit nutty conspiracy theories that have been debunked by science. All of this was out in the open. Republicans knew about this. Republicans knew this man is completely unqualified. Republicans knew that his cousin called him a predator. Republicans knew that this man should never, ever, 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 ever be near any management or leadership of any health service or any health organization because he is not a doctor. He has zero experience. And speaking about white male mediocrity that defines the Trump administration, these reckless, incompetent, dangerous, unqualified people are now the head of departments that will literally influence our children's health. CDC folks, NIH, Medicare. This man who literally you just heard him. I see mitochondria on the face. You're like, what? That should be an SNL sketch. That guy is the director of health and human services. Sorry, my brain has a worm in it. It's leaking worms.
The thing is, when we look at what is happening, at what happened this week, right? So to be clear, as Isaac Saul writes, CDC Director Susan Monterez was nominated by Trump and confirmed in a party line vote 51-47 by Republicans a month ago. She refused to resign amid pressure to change vaccine policy. So now RFK Jr. is trying to fire her. This is literally their pick. Hours after the Department of Health and Human Services announced early Wednesday evening that Monterez was no longer the director, her lawyers responded with a fiery statement saying that she had not resigned or been fired. They accused HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. of weaponizing public health for political gain and putting millions of Americans' lives at risk by purging health officials from government. They went on to say, when CDC Director Susan Monterez refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts, she chose protecting the public over serving a political agenda.
Well
For
done.
that reason, she has been targeted. Folks, I just want to remind people, but 5 years removed from COVID, from 5 years removed from a global health pandemic that killed over 1 million Americans and millions around the world, 5 years removed from Donald Trump telling us that we should inject bleach or light or take horse tranquilizer pills. If not for Dr. Fauci, right, more Americans would have died. If you remember,
1 million Americans have died.
1 million, but more than 1 million would have died if not for Dr. Fauci, who, by the way, during his tenure and after his tenure, received numerous amounts of death threats, was
Still
called
does.
everything but a child of God. His life was threatened for doing what, Waj? His job in trying to save the American people and keep us safe. And now we have RFK Jr. We have a new, by the way, a new vaccine that has come out, right, to combat a new strand of COVID that, by the way, is at a high right now in California, according to reports from wastewater that are seeing spiked levels of COVID. That now the vaccine has come out, and guess who's not getting it?
Everyone
That is under 65 years old. Because if you're going to get it, guess what? Your insurance, I guarantee you, is not going to fucking cover it. Because now the CDC and the FDA and whoever else has said that only those that are 65 years and older and those that have vulnerable conditions can get the vaccine. Folks, I just 5 years removed from 1 million plus Americans dying and Donald Trump wanting to liberate cities, telling people to take their masks off, bomb threats at hospitals. We had refrigerator trucks in neighborhoods holding dead bodies because there was no more space in the fucking morgue. That was 5 years ago. And these people are ensuring that not only will we be woefully prepared for another catastrophic event that is more than likely coming, because what? Climate change increases the amount of bugs, increases the amount of issues that we have. It is more than likely coming. Not only are we woefully unprepared for a global health pandemic, we're woefully unprepared for basic shit like polio and measles.
United States, a couple of weeks ago, just cut $500 million into vaccine research, which doctors are saying will kill Americans precisely for the reasons Danielle just mentioned. Cuts to the National Institute of Health, $1 trillion cuts to Medicaid that will literally kill people, especially Trump voters, especially in rural counties. As Danielle was saying, we now have a measles outbreak. Why? Because vaccine hesitancy has skyrocketed. Vaccine hesitancy has skyrocketed thanks to right-wing media deliberately promoting anti-science propaganda to politicize science during a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic that, as Danielle said, not only brought death threats and risk to Dr. Fauci, but also doctors, in addition to teachers, in addition to poll workers, in addition to law enforcement. During Trump's first term and Biden's first term, said they were under attack due to stochastic terrorism, where Trump and MAGA would target these groups and these individuals as being part of the deep state. Individuals who were tasked with literally saving our children and saving our lives were seen as the enemy, but violent insurrectionists are seen as heroes. And because we live in the United States of amnesia, this dumb, self-destructive country said, oh, that dumbass, corrupt liar who literally lied to the American public during a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. He knew how dangerous it was, and he admits to Bob Woodward, who decided to sit on that audio tape for months to sell his book. Remember that? Where he admits to Bob Woodward early on the data that he got, that COVID was extremely dangerous, and that it wasn't just something that would go away by the spring, right? Donald Trump, because he realized it would hurt his reelection chances, said, open up, open up, open up. America has to open up. No masks. Everything is fine. Because, folks, if you want to remember why I call it a pro-death movement, Republicans at that time, remember what they were saying, Danielle? Herd immunity. You know what? It affects the sick and the elderly. Grandma and grandpa, they've lived a good life. You got to sacrifice. I'm not making this up, folks. This was the pro-life Christian Republican saying, open up, open up, open up. Herd immunity. Who cares about Waj's daughter who just went through cancer? Who cares about grandma and grandpa who served their life, right? Let them go. We got to open up. And so Donald Trump tried his best. He failed, but he tried his best to have America open up by the spring because he realized the economy was in the shitter and that would hurt his reelection chances. And he lied, Danielle. He lied to the American public about the dangers of COVID. That guy who lied to the American public about the dangers of COVID, that guy who weaponized the deep state conspiracy to get himself elected, that guy whose base attacked scientists who spent their entire life trying to come up with research and data and medicine to save our lives, that guy who incited a violent insurrection, that guy who completely failed us. America's like, you know what? If it's between him and a competent black woman, let's give it to him. And speaking about the mediocrity, Pete Hegseth is your Secretary of Defense. RFK Jr. is your Director of Health and Human Services. And one last thing before we get to the pushback, which is, it's so bad, folks. The reason why we're spending time on this, you know, Danielle and I have been talking about this for a while.
We don't want you to die. That's
why
we
don't want you to die. And when it came to the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right, we talked about Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller. Like, these were like the four horsemen. One of the four horsemen we always kept talking about on this show was RFK Jr. And we kept doing, like, you know, we kept at it. We're like, this is the one that people should pay attention to, because as Daniel started the show, right? Remember back in the day, you don't pay attention to the National Institute of Health. They're like, oh, experts. You don't pay attention to the CDC. You don't pay attention to the World Health Organization. You don't pay attention to mRNA vaccines. You're like, oh yeah, bird flu. I'm sure someone's working on something. Polio. I'm sure we got something. We got it. You didn't have to worry about this because you had competent, educated doctors, even during Republican administrations. But when he mentioned RFK, we've been on it on this show. Like, this mother effer is dangerous. And he lied. He goes, oh, don't worry. I'll just go with the accepted science. And now he's going after all the experts. And as Danielle said, the lady that they're going after, their pick. But even that lady was like, I took a Hippocratic oath. Like, I might be, you know, Republican or whatever, but I'm not going to kill people. And they're like, you're not going to kill people. Well, all right. You're going to get canned, and we're going to bring in someone who will. But there is pushback, Danielle.
For the love of God. So this is from Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, letter resigning from the CDC. It is untenable to serve in an organization that is not afforded the opportunity to discuss decisions of scientific and public health importance released under the moniker of the CDC. He adds, I am not sure who the secretary is listening to, but it is quite certainly not us.
Daniel, that in itself should be horrifying.
It doesn't stop there. This is another. This is a part of Dr. Dimitri's resignation letter. This decision has, I'm going to jump down to the middle, folks. This decision has not come easily, as I deeply value the work that the CDC does in safeguarding public health, and am proud of my contributions to that critical mission. However, after much contemplation and reflection on recent developments and perspectives brought to light by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I find that the views he and his staff have shared challenge my ability to continue in my current role at the agency and in the service of health of the American people. Enough is enough. While I hold immense respect for the institution and my colleagues, I believe that it is imperative to align my professional responsibilities to my system of ethics and my understanding of the science of infectious disease, immunology, and my promise to serve the American people. This step is necessary to ensure that I can contribute effectively in a capacity that allows me to remain true to my principles. Folks, if that shit does not scare you to death, not to mention this was scenes from yesterday's walkout at the head of CDC, the headquarters at CDC in Atlanta. Folks, our health and human services officials, our doctors, our nurses, our scientists, and our researchers have walked out en masse to tell us that our lives are at stake, that RFK Jr. and his band of quack conspiracy theorists, fucking tin hat wearing, fucking giraffe eating motherfuckers, are going to kill us with their non-medical degree having, like, QAnon conspiracy listening to asses. Like, I cannot express to you. When you talked, Waj, about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, let me tell you that the only one, to be honest, that I was most concerned about was fucking RFK Jr. The rest of them, as fucking dumb as they are, I'm like, well, We may be able to weather it, but a man that is actually actively trying to take away medication, vaccines, antidepressants, therapies from the American people, no. He is responsible, folks, for the health and wellness of 330 million people. He has no fucking degree. Like, when those Republicans voted this man in, I said, Jonathan Metzel's book, Dying of Whiteness, Jonathan could not have predicted this, because at some point, you think to yourself, they must put their own health, if they don't care about anything else, Waj, when their own health is on the line, they must make a decision that is in their best interest. And Republicans in the Senate said, nah, fuck it.
Bill Cassidy, doctor, who knows better. Bill Cassidy, who's warned about vaccine hesitancy. Bill Cassidy, a person who took the oath. Bill Cassidy said, push comes to shove, let's choose death. And Bill Cassidy will be remembered for his entire lifetime as a doctor, serving as a senator, as a Republican who went along with the cult and actually gave RFK his vote. And now Bill Cassidy is like, nope, they went along with it. And breaking news just now, Danielle, defying Congress, Trump moves to cut $4.9 billion in foreign aid. The White House notified Congress it plans to use a legally untested maneuver to circumvent lawmakers and claw back more money for foreign aid programs. The biggest cut is $445 million to U.S. funding of peacekeeping operations that include abroad, including through the United Nations. The request also proposes a $132 million rescission of the $140 million approved by Congress for the Democracy Fund at the State Department. The White House's proposed budget released earlier this year suggested eliminating that program entirely. They have also cut all of the money to USAID. So two things. Number one, people will die. People have died. And number two, folks, Donald Trump is completely compromised by Russia. Yesterday, you saw the head of Portugal literally say that Donald Trump is a compromised agent. Notice everything that's happened in the past week. This is if literally Russia drew up a wish list of things for a puppet to do. This is it. It's happening in real time. People will die. Peacekeeping missions, vaccines, National Institute of Health, CDC, meh. World Health Organization, meh. Oh, helping Ukraine with an invasion, Russia go and invade. Palestinians starving to death. Israel, here's some more money. I want my Riviera on the Middle East. It is a pro-death movement. And again, the $1 trillion cut to Medicaid, which is going to be implemented right after the midterm elections. 20% of rural hospitals are going to shut down, Danielle. You're going to have nursing homes shut down. So what happens when rural communities who are already, don't have the resources and services that urban communities do? Now they don't have nursing homes. Now they don't have hospitals. And 20% of Americans rely on Medicaid. Not just, those who are poor, but also many of the childbirths in this country due to Medicaid. Our elders are alive due to Medicaid. Once that's gone, Danielle, what happens to people?
I mean, at this point, like, I know that you don't drink, but I'm just like, I literally, I think I've run my limit today on like the just, fuck it. Like, whatever you all need to do to like stay safe, whatever you all need to do to protect your families. Like, you know what? I feel absolutely nothing right now. I think I have reached numbness in this moment. So I'm just going to play this video of yet another emotional speech of a worker outside of the CDC.
Well,
but we had to do it.
That's Deborah Horry, who, along with others from the CDC, decided to resign after RFK Jr. Tried to fire CDC Director Suzanne Monarez. CDC Director Susan Monarez was handpicked by Republicans. And Even the Susan Monares is like, yo, RFK, you're too cray for me. I took an oath to protect lives. There's no way I'm going to do this. And he goes, you're going to get fired. So he fires her. He's trying to fire her. And as a result of trying to fire her, that's why you're seeing these colleagues resign. Now, that is in one way, it's very good. We're seeing resistance and the walkout, right, by medical professionals. Excellent. In another way, the fact that our, literally our brilliant minds are resigning means that there's a vacancy. And Danielle, you just showed, folks, we need qualified doctors, people who have spent their entire lives researching this in these positions. This is life and death stuff. So they have replaced now these qualified doctors, regardless or not whether you like their politics, they're doctors. And now this is the person. This is the person. They have replaced a woman, Susan Moranis, again, their pick with, tell them. I mean, you can't make this up. Tell them who this guy is, Daniel.
I like the White House selected Jim O'Neill, a top deputy to RFK Jr., to serve as acting head of the CDC after a clash over vaccine policy ended. Oh, and by the way, he has no direct medical education. Oh, and where does he come from? Oh, he's a co-founder with Peter Thiel of the Thiel Fellowship. So honestly, I'm a bit overwhelmed.
Folks, Jim O'Neill is not just a Peter.
I'm a bit overwhelmed with
Jim O'Neill is not just, first of all, no medical degree, not trained in any way, shape, or form. Jim O'Neill literally is like, if you watch The Simpsons, and if Mr. Burns is Peter Thiel, Smithers is Jim O'Neill. His entire life, he has been working for Peter Thiel. His entire adult career has been in service of the Peter Thiel empire. Peter Thiel is the racist, white nationalist, completely, almost nearly looking psychotic billionaire who groomed J.D. Vance, funded his entire political career to the tune of $15 million, and hand-delivered J.D. Vance to Donald Trump. J.D. Vance is the puppet of the broligarchy. The person, or the people rather, who vouched for him were Peter Thiel, Musk, David Sachs. Those guys are part of what they say the South African PayPal mafia, right? They all made their money off of PayPal. They all have roots in South Africa. They're all these white nationalist type of billionaires. They all follow this guy, Curtis Yarvin, who's a total freak who believes that democracy is incompatible with capitalism and believes that America should have a king and a monarch. Basically a techno-fascist utopia where the world's most powerful, wealthy white men get to carve, I'm not making this up, folks, get to carve up the world. And then, they have a ruler amongst their council who kind of is subservient to them. And also non-productive people should go by the wayside. Curtis Yarvin also made a reference to like Soylent Green. The non-productive people should be turned into like this type of paste. Speaking about non-productive people, RFK with his eugenics obsession also said autistic people, remember that rant he went on? Autistic people, they can't do anything, they can't work. And as of a couple of days ago, he said he will find the cure for autism. This man without any medical degree, the sexual predator, he said, I'm going to find the cure for autism. And everyone's like, the way he talks about autism is so dangerous, right? But again, eugenics. He wanted a list. Remember that? RFK wanted a list for a registry for autistic people. So these are the people, eugenics, cranks, racists, unqualified men who are all together part of this cabal, who are hollowing out our government, hollowing it out of expertise. Literally, believe the evidence of your ears and eyes. Can we go back to this guy? Just look. This is the guy who they're going to replace. Look at this. Just look. Just let me read it one more time. Jim O'Neill is a tech investor, former CEO of the Thiel Foundation, and co-founder with Peter Thiel of the Thiel Fellowship. He has no direct medical education or experience, and he will serve as the acting head of the CDC. In a normal country that wasn't obsessed with its own self-destruction due to white supremacy, greed, and disinformation, this would be leading the news, Danielle, but this is now item 47.
At this point, I really don't know what else to say. I have said this, and I say it every day. I say it on the Danielle Moody show. I say it every time there's a microphone in my face. The only way out of this is to shut this country the fuck down. Like, the only way out of this is a national strike. We're not voting our way out of this. They're stealing the elections. We're not protesting our way out of it. They're going to run us over with tanks. We're not praying our way out of this, because the bullets keep flying. Like, the only way is for the American people to stop working. The only way is for organizations, civil rights organizations, labor unions, to link arms and shut this country the fuck down. It is not about a boycott for a few days where you don't decide to buy stuff from Amazon, or a boycott of Target. It is not about not spending. It is about taking away the thing that oligarchy and fascism cannot survive without, which is your labor and your bodies. Like, that is what I want people to understand. Like, this is not, we've moved beyond the like, oh, an elected official is going to fucking save us, or this election is going to fucking save us. Like, that shit was conversations that Waj and I were having like a decade ago. And so now, 10 years under Donald Trump, when everything is being taken away, you're a right to exist. Your right to health care, your right to vaccinate yourself and the people that you love, your right to be healthy and exist unoppressed is being taken away. Somebody said in the chat, we're not headed towards a civil war. We're in a civil war. We've been in a civil war, and it has been the 1% against everyone else. And now they are in control of every goddamn thing, including your fucking right to exist. So until the American people can muster up the fucking strength of our fucking slaveholding forefathers that dumped tea into the fucking ocean for less, until people get it through their heads that you're not riding this fucking wave out, you're going to ride it out the way that they tried to ride out the fucking Titanic. It's not happening. So I don't know what else to say at this point, because this has been one of the most depressing rundowns that I've had to put together. I blame Waj, but it's not his fault. But for the love of fucking God, I don't know how many people need to if I could shake the shit out of every American, I would shake the shit out of them.
Well, then they'd shoot you to death because you're a black woman. Folks, self-destruction. I've used this example before. People know I believe in God, so I give these biblical and Islamic references, but you don't have to. Just stories. You always read those stories, Danielle, of Noah, or read the stories of Moses. And you just stick with Noah for a second. You read the story, allegory, parable, and you're at first you look at Noah and see this is a crazy old man talking about a flood. There's no flood. And then look at this crazy old man building this ark. He's silly. Look at all these animals going to the ark. That's strange. All right. Then the water starts. The water hits your ankles. You're maybe it'll go away. The water hits your knees. That's pretty concerning. The water hits your waist. You're okay, maybe I should get in this boat. The water hits your neck. And in the story, if you read it, literally the water's up to the neck of people. And Noah's I have an ark. Can you just get in the ark? And we're good, Noah. Peace. Ivermectin, baby. Ivermectin. Herd immunity. He's what the F are you talking about? Just get in the boat. They're nah, dog. RFK told me just to stand on the rock, and the rocks with their natural organic,
feet.
Their natural minerals will soak away the water, bro. I don't think so, bro. I think you should get on the ark. Nah, dog. RFK told me I'm going to develop gills because I'm special. And they all die. And you read these stories, right? And Moses, and all the prophets, all the people doing these really self-destructive things, despite all the signs. You're people can't be that stupid. And then, Danielle, the pandemic happened. And I swear to you, as a Muslim, during the pandemic, I was I literally said, Danielle, I'm God, I understand. We are a deeply dumb, self-destructive species. Yep. Like, this is remarkable. Again, like, you read those stories, you're like, it's hyperbole, it's morals, it's messages, right? It's symbols, allegories. Like, no. There's a reason why these stories have stuck around, Danielle, because we are such a self-destructive species. And it is, America in particular, it has just destroyed itself. And like you and I have talked about, the avatar of our destruction is Donald Trump, which makes perfect sense if you really think about it. First, people are like, how could this happen? He's America. He is cruel. He is wealthy. He is ignorant. He is racist. He is a misogynist. He was protected, sheltered, coddled due to his wealthiness, his white, his celebrity. And America chose him to destroy us. Putin chose him to destroy us. Putin won without firing a bullet, folks.
Can you imagine?
What I just mentioned, that breaking news.
Imagine without firing Putin never had to put boots on the ground in America. He never had to pull up a tanker to the coast. He never had to drop not one single fucking bomb. All he had to do was wind up the fucking talking toy of Donald Trump, wind him up and send him loose on America and sit back at the fucking Kremlin and watch the disaster. Because, here's the thing. This is the thing about everybody else. And James Baldwin said this about white people. And this is the thing, though, about people who live outside of the United States. You get such a good view, right, of what makes Americans tick, about what Americans believe in, what guides them, what moves them. And do you know what moves Americans more than anything else, Waj? Greed and fucking racism.
Yep.
That's what moves Americans.
Yep.
Greed and racism, and then sprinkle in a little bit of celebrity, because there's nothing that Americans love more than fucking celebrity. So when you look at the manifestation of Donald Trump is the manifestation of everything that is wrong with America. And Putin said, just slap some fucking makeup on him, send him out there, because Americans at their core are selfish and they're fucking greedy and they're racist. And all you have to do is give them a fucking king to worship, a man with a literal golden toilet, and they will worship him. That's all he had to do.
And it's not even gold. That's the sad part. It's like this nasty brass, and he just paints it gold. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. Even The Apprentice, folks, the producers of The Apprentice said that the Trump Towers, when they went to film there, was a piece of shit. And they had to spend money remodeling it to make it look nice because it was so tacky and cheap. That's what it is. Once you look behind the curtain, you see a corpulent, aging, sagging, orange-fleshed piece of shit on cankles. And that's their king. It's all myth. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's the Wizard of Oz. It always has been. And another feature, in addition to greed, that Daniel just mentioned, the racism. Folks, today, some more breaking news that Kamala Harris, black woman, Donald Trump, who doesn't know what the Congo is and doesn't take security meetings and spends most of his time golfing, always makes time for Festivus. Always makes time for racism, always makes time for cruelty, especially against black women. So he's lifting the security detail of Kamala Harris, one of the most well-known women on earth. Why? Just to be petty. And, why stop at just, insulting one black woman when you can insult two black women? So he's going after Lisa Cook because he can't go after Jerome Powell, right? And he wants the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates to save his hemorrhaging economy due to his stupid trade wars and tariffs. So he can't go after Jerome Powell, the man he appointed. So he's like, who can I? Lisa Cook. And then one idiot in a reek says, we can go after Lisa Cook. Let me just make an allegation of mortgage fraud. Aha. That gives me the pretext to fire Lisa Cook. And the independent Federal Reserve Board, folks, that's really important. The global economy needs an independent Federal Reserve Board, but not Republicans. Republicans are like, nope, we're going to make that partisan as well. Already, that has rankled the market. So he tries to fire Lisa Cook, but some good news. I tried to find some good news. I thought I put some good news in the rundown. Daniel's like, this is so depressing. The good news that I put down is you see doctors resisting. Will it do anything? I don't know, but they're resisting, damn it. You see, and they're women too. Lisa Cook, black woman, resisting. Filed a lawsuit. She goes, nope, you are illegally trying to sue me. Danielle.
Lisa Cook files lawsuit seeking federal court order declaring her purported firing from Federal Reserve to be unlawful and that she remains an active member of the board, aka I ain't going anywhere. You can't do nothing. You know, here's the thing. Speaking of racism, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is fighting for his life as he was once again. He is now detained and they're trying to ship him to Uganda. Lawyers are also trying to stop that from happening. But, you know, here is your good news. Yes, people are protesting. People are in the streets. People are getting angry. It's not enough.
Not enough.
It's not enough. I will go back to say what I said before. You cannot continue to use 20th century tactics with 21st century fascism. It is not enough. Okay? If it was enough, then all we needed was the one march in 2017 that at that time was the largest march ever held, which was the Women's March, and then we would have never had to hear from Donald Trump again. It's not enough. So everything that you think of doing, that you think people should be doing, fucking triple it, quadruple it. It's not enough. Because the thing is that everything that Donald Trump is doing is to escalate the people. It is to create the chaos. It is to create the division so that then people get into the streets and he can roll out the tanks and institute martial law. That is the end game. And so the only way to avoid a potential Kent state, the only way to avoid a Tiananmen Square is for people to stay home. For people to say, you do not get my labor, you do not get my body, you do not get my money, you do not get a fucking thing. That's what we need.
Might not be enough, Danielle. I think
I don't know. I don't know.
I think we're cooked in the short run and long run. I think we're living at the end of the empire. It happens. Every empire falls. Sun would never set on the British Empire. It's set. Look where the Roman Empire is. This is, you know, if it does come back, anything can happen. It'll be generational. Like everyone thinks you snap the fingers and things will be okay. Just no, that just doesn't work that way, folks. It's in 7 months. The Republicans have done generational damage to America's reputation, to America's economy, to America's public health infrastructure, to America's allies. Generational damage, a hollowing out. This was part and parcel of the plan. It's like those firms that come in and just hollow out, right? Like hemorrhaging business, like Toys R Us, right? Remember that? They just come in and they just take everything, and they just hollow it out. And then there's a husk that remains and then it dies. And then the rich get richer, everyone else gets poorer. And they see America as that type of, like, if you will, failing business that they can come in and just hollow out, take over and hollow it out. Corporate raiders, exactly, Beresford. Corporate raiders. Broligarchy coming. And then for the others, it's white nationalism. That's Stephen Miller. And for Russell Vought, it's white Christian nationalism, right? So everything must fall to make this country white again. Nothing else matters except the kingdom of God and heaven, because we want to bring about the rapture. And who cares about climate change and who cares about anything else, because we're all going to die anyway. And then for the broligarchy folks, and the reason why it's type of a doomsday cult, even though they're all kind of different, even though Elon Musk and Peter Thiel have like kind of a different agenda than Russell Vought and Mike Johnson, who might have a different agenda than Stephen Miller, what unites all of them is the racism, Danielle, the need for power, and the greed. And all of it is self-destructive, because even Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and Bezos, all these guys, folks, they ain't staying on Earth. They don't want to stay on Earth. Have you noticed?
I wish that they, you know what? I wish that I was going to say the heavens, but we know that that's not where they're going, would open up. They don't have to stay on Earth. You know what? But I sure as fuck don't want them colonizing the moon either, or Mars, and taking their racism and their fascism out into outer space. But my God, please, if you're going to go to outer space, please, oh, please take one of Elon Musk's shuttles. Please, oh, please take one of his shuttles. As a matter of fact, I also hear that if you go right down, I hear that maybe there's some minerals left over in the Titanic. Why don't you take a capsule and go down there and explore as well? And take your friends with you.
Yeah. There's some good minerals there, Thiel and Musk and Bezos.
You can use it for AI.
Bezos, I heard Musk wants those minerals. You go there first. You don't want to be the person with second dibs on the minerals.
Don't be left out.
Don't be left behind. God wants you to have the minerals. You have the biggest spaceship. You go, please. Yeah. And Thiel, do you want Musk to have it first? Do you trust him? I wish we could. Listen, I want to ask you this question, though, Danielle. I'm very curious. I believe Donald Trump is, I was going to say dying. I'll stick with it. I think this guy's dying. Not going to die, but I feel like he's dying. I feel... I mean, the worst people stay alive forever, but what I mean by that, I think he's like, he does not look right to me. And I don't know if he's going to die, but there's a difference between like dying and death in the sense that you become more incapacitated, both mentally and physically. If you just look at him, folks, from just like 6 months ago, just look at the video. It reminds me of Biden, right? Even though Biden, I think, is mentally sharper than Trump, and I think even physically healthier. But if you look at Biden last March versus Biden to like last October, you saw it. You saw a dramatic shift in his health, right? It happens when you get older. It happens just like that. Look at Donald right now, Danielle, his skin, his arm, his cankles, the fact that he can't stay awake, he falls asleep, top of the stuff that he says, and compare him to like just 6 months ago. He doesn't seem like the same guy. And I believe, and this tweet that I did kind of went viral, that the people around him, and that means Putin, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, Elon Musk, even Elon Musk, he's there. They know he's going down. And they're trying to extract from him everything that they can. And they're just whispering in his ear, you're the king. You're the daddy. You're the king of Europe. You can do whatever you want.
Daddies.
Yeah, you're the king of the daddies. Look at that. Do you look at that black? You want that black to tell you what to do? Go get that black woman. Go get that CDC woman. Do that. You can do anything you want. Yeah. Did you hear what he said about you? Right. And they're like, what? And I think they're trying to get him to bulldoze as much of America as possible and amass control within this cabal so that when he croaks or becomes incapacitated, J.D. Vance, who they realize does not have the popularity, does not have the if you will, the I hate using this word, but the aura, the Trump aura, does not have control over the MAGA base because they laugh at him like we do. It doesn't matter because they have power and they have their puppet. But your take on this?
I mean, look, wishful thinking. He's unwell and it's getting progressively worse. But you know, evil does stay around forever. Who just died at 100 years old and he killed
Kissinger.
100 years old. He killed like 1 million people. And he got, honored in the Capitol. But I do believe, the escalation. I believe what you said on Monday, and you're saying it again right now, that the escalation is connected to the fact that Donald Trump is, rotting quicker than folks thought that he would. And, and they are just chomping at the bit. And, we know that by virtue of whatever is left of our Constitution, I don't know if you take out one of the shreds from the garbage, the vice president then becomes the president of the United States. And then they would be able to run Vance in 2028 and keep their, keep the fascism rolling. But Vance doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the audience. He doesn't have the base. And oh, by the way, his wife and his children are brown, and white nationalists tend to not like that.
How is he going to hide
Um,
his wife and kids, Danielle? Has he
I
thought
think
about
that
that?
he'll probably divorce her. Maybe he'll kill her. I don't know. They love to do, like, I have no idea, right? Like, I don't put, I mean, basically when he ever talks about the kids, he talks about them being her children, right? And so like if Peter Thiel says you got to get rid of her, do you think that like Eli that he stays?
A
No.
man like JD who believes in nothing but himself, who's a chameleon, who's lied his entire life, who's changed his name, who is the man who called Donald Trump America's Hitler, who warned America about Donald Trump, but then turned around 180 degrees and has become something he's not, who cosplays as a alpha tough man, even though he made all of his money in Wall Street for the richest, most weak men on earth. I do not put it past him to divorce Usha.
The funny thing is, I know that this is petty, but I'm in a petty mood. I was shocked, and I still remain shocked that she hasn't gotten a MAGA makeover yet. She is very plain looking, if one will say, right? In comparison to these like lashes, eyes, lips, Botox, all the things. And I am shocked that she still hasn't received her like Stepford MAGA makeover.
The year is still young.
I mean, but I would have thought that they would have done it on the campaign trail,
Well,
right?
he's been hiding, right? I think his entire job. Listen, folks, I can only look at the evidence in front of me and make certain deductions, right? What we know as fact, we'll say as fact, and then other stuff we just assume. I think he was brought in by Peter Thiel. And the reason why I say brought in, literally, he was hand delivered to Donald Trump by Thiel and Musk and Sachs. Donald Trump didn't know JD Vance. And then Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the sons, were like, oh, yeah, JD, he's a good guy, right? Because they realize he's part and parcel of that grifting cabal of the broligarchy. It was part of the quid pro quo. We'll help you. We're going to give money. Peter Thiel gave millions of dollars to Donald Trump for 2024. Elon Musk spent, nearly $300 million. And the quid pro quo was you're going to get this guy, JD Vance, even though MAGA never respected him, even though MAGA still doesn't respect him, right? So I think the whole plan all along was this guy looks old and he looks dumb. And I think he might not last. If he doesn't last, we have our groomed boy toy, eyelash, mascara, JD Vance with the brown wife. And notice that JD Vance has been quiet as F the last couple of weeks,
I
right?
mean, what else is he gonna? He's been on vacation since
At blue
January.
states.
He's been on vacation since January. So what does he have to say? How nice and clean these blue states are, how wonderful their infrastructure is, how nice their Airbnbs and their hotels are, or how much he's been booed every time he steps out someplace. I mean, it's so funny to me that the job of vice president was so fucking important when it was a black woman that was the vice president of the United States. And now all of a sudden you have like, this fucking clown, JD Can't Dance Vance, as the vice president, and he's on holiday the entire goddamn time. Right? Like, incredible. But folks, I want to close out today with this. I played this yesterday on the Danielle Moody show, and Waj and I are always very honest. And at the beginning of the year, when Gavin Newsom was using his podcast to platform white nationalists, Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon, and try and find inroads and try and find, common ground by being transphobic. We came for him. We came for him fully loaded on this show. Gavin Newsom has, I don't know, found the light, found Jesus, or maybe he realized that cozying up to fascists wasn't actually going to work in his favor because they still invaded his state. They still came to his city, right, with the National Guard. And since then, he has changed his tune. And not only has he changed his tune, he's created a new strategy that every single Democrat should be copying and using over and over and over again. He was in an interview this week with Politico. And this interview, I'm going to play part of it because Gavin Newsom was really clear. But I want folks to listen, to look at Gavin Newsom's eyes but listen to the audience and listen to the reporter that is asking the questions. Listen to their tone. And I want you to just, you'll hear.
Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second you want... I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me.
And you think he's going to run again?
No, don't give me. You don't. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house? So this is serious, guys. This is serious.
So it'll be Newsom Trump in 28.
No. This guy doesn't believe in free, fair elections. He tried to wreck this country. Were you there, January 6th? I think Fox was. At least they were in a lawsuit. They seem to have lost any memory of that. Shareholders didn't. I mean, he tried to light democracy on fire. He dialed for 11, almost 12,000 votes. Now he's doing it in plain sight. And people said, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. People actually think this guy's serious about having another election? You think he's joking about 2028? You think when he brings foreign leaders to the Oval Office and he goes to the White House store, have you seen this? Anyone? Is it just me? And he shows them the 2028 hats? He's not being serious? Wake up. You will lose your country.
Waj, what did you make of the audience and the reporter in comparison to Newsom?
I rarely swear, but these chutias, fantastic Punjabi swear word, in DC and New York remind me of the chutias that I saw at Aspen when I was invited. And David Rothkopf and a few others, I think it was Julia Yaffe, and there were two other. Petraeus was on there jockeying for a position in the Trump administration. There was another person kissing his ass. This was like first administration. Rothkopf and Yaffe were like, this man is a serious threat. And Petraeus and a lot of these rich white folks in the audience were like, yeah, he'll be fine. This was before the insurrection. This is before he said he wants to terminate the Constitution. This is before he said he wants to be a dictator for the day. This is before he unleashed the National Guard. This is before he joked and then seriously talked about how there's a way for him to become president again. This is before he said, some people want a dictator, I don't know. Some people, I heard they call me the president of Europe. This is before all that. And they laughed. And then after the fact, all of them laughed. I know the exact class of people, these upper class, upper middle class, overwhelmingly white folks who live within this extremely incestuous ecosystem of big business, corporate media, and the government, who sat there and chuckle because to them it's a game. To them, don't take him literally and seriously. He'll become presidential. He had a racial trip up. But Zoran Mamdani's a democratic socialist. Both sides are extreme. That's my response.
I've played this video now like 4 or 5 times. And the laughter, the same laughter that we heard in the Oval Office when Donald Trump is speaking with the president of El Salvador and saying that he wants 5 more CCOTs for homegrowns, and the giggling that they're doing about the torturing that is going on at CCOT, and the journalists that are in the room are laughing. And I think about the people, I think about every single network that posted Donald Trump, streamed Donald Trump from 2015 onwards, thinking that he was a joke, using him as a way to boost their ratings and their network, and platform him over and over again. And how funny, isn't Donald Trump such a fucking entertainer, right? And here you have 4 years in one term. We are 8 months into what will be his forever term. And these people still find something that is fucking funny about people being tortured at Alligator Auschwitz, about people being thrown into vans by unmarked cars, by Donald Trump saying that he is a dictator and that's what some people want. When Donald Trump said that, can't we just shoot them in the leg? When they're separating babies from their mothers, from their nursing mothers. Donald Trump has never been a fucking joke, but he sure as fuck is not one now. And the audacity of those people and the audacity of that piece of shit journalist that was sitting there saying, oh, I guess it'll be Trump Newsom 2028. And Gavin Newsom's face, if you look at Gavin Newsom's eyes, folks, if you look at his eyes these days, the absolute, like you have seen the future and you know what it is, and it is dark and it is dangerous and it is violent. And he looks into the audience and shuts down the reporter and says, this isn't funny. This is actually serious. And the fact that you need to tell people this in 2025, the year of our Lord, 10 years under Donald Trump, that this shit isn't funny. A part of me, like, y'all deserve everything that you get and more.
This 4 years ago, people thought I was hysterical. Tweeting it right now because it's all news-ish that Ashley Babbitt, a violent insurrectionist who came with violence in her mind, who was radicalized by QAnon, who was part of the violent mob to overthrow a free and fair election, who was killed because she was breaking and entering the Capitol and about to surge towards a cop. She will, first and foremost, this administration and MAGA calls her a martyr. Secondly, they gave her dollars for a wrong. And three, I heard Danielle.
Yeah, I did.
Funeral in the White House, gold-plated coffin. 4 years ago, folks, I wrote in Daily Beast why Trump is anointing Ashley Babbitt as MAGA's first martyr. And people thought I was hysterical. And this is the world's worst I told you so, folks, but maybe there's something for me and Danielle, and maybe for the people who are tuning in for the first time or have watched us for the past 3 years. We called it. We called it. We knew exactly where this was going. We took Trump literally and seriously. We called out all the people around him. We used the words fascist, authoritarian, white nationalist, white Christian nationalist. We said he's not going to leave in 2020. He won't leave peacefully. They're going to try to take this country back to 1952 before Brown versus Board of Education. I have an edit, 1852. My bad. And, you know, maybe America learns the hard way, because the Wall Street Journal just a couple hours ago said U.S. companies have an unwelcome message for inflation. Wary consumers. Prices are going up. This country worships money more than anything else, Danielle. It worships whiteness and wealth. What happens when whiteness fails you and kills you? And what happens when you don't have wealth? We're about to find out in the next 3 months, Danielle.
Folks, unfortunately, we don't have a good place to leave you today. But we appreciate all of the 1,300 folks that tuned in.
And also the 1,100 on Substack. Thank you.
And the 1,100 on Substack, folks. This is independent media. Waj and I will never put any of our content behind paywalls, because we believe that that is where critical thinking and democracy dies. And so if you have the ability to support us, every dollar helps. And we appreciate it ever so much. If you have the ability to subscribe here, to hit that bell, subscribe. and never miss a show. If you have the ability to subscribe to Waj's Substack, The Left Hook, where you are watching this right now, subscribe. If you have the ability to subscribe to The Damn Digest, which is my Substack, please do. And if you have a few bucks, consider becoming a paid subscriber and continuing to support independent media. I want to thank every single person: Barb, Susan, Tina, Midas again, Nikki, Ernst, as always, Estella, Soul, Inferno, Susan again, Norma, Jack, Meredith, Susan again, Mandy, E. Schwartz, Jimmy, Susan again, Robert, Marsha, Soul Baraka again. Thank you all so very much. Each and every single dollar that you offer us in super stickers, super thanks, paid subscriptions goes a long way. We are so very, very grateful for all of your support. Like, comment, and share. Get the word out, folks. Use your platforms to amplify your voice, to amplify voices of those that are unapologetic and truthful. We will be back here on Monday, 12. Oh, wait. Will we be back here, Waj?
Yeah,
You
I'm
don't.
here.
I mean, Waj works 100 days, 100 days out of the fucking week. That's only 7, but like somehow he says, God, please give me more days. Give me
I'm
more
here. So if
hours.
you're here, I'm here.
So on Labor Day, the black and the brown will be working. So we will be here at 12 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you all.
And also for those who tuned in late, we're going to have this entire conversation up again on Danielle's YouTube channel. She's only a couple of hundred away from 30,000. So, these things with YouTube and the algorithms feed the algorithm. And when you get the algorithm fed, it amplifies the content. So if you all have not clicked the bell and watching this on YouTube, get Danielle to 30,000. And plus, like Danielle said, everything is free. We put everything out there for free. It's going to be on Damn Digest, her Substack, and The Left Hook. So for those who came in a bit late, 2,500 people watching us, you're going to have the entire conversation. And again, if you have a few dollars, chip into Danielle and me. If you don't, that's okay. At the very least, just subscribe and share the news, folks. We have to fight for our democracy.
All right, friends, that is it for us here at Democracy-ish. We will see you Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your mental health. Do something that brings you joy. Be well. And don't be a fascist as well.
Don't be a fascist.